Hey everybody, this is Hunter with Audience One Worship, and our next video is going to be on the Helix. I have the Helix LT. I sold all my gear to get it. So from now on, you'll be seeing a lot more of the Helix. This is just a quick video to show you how to set up, a board. Let's say you just got your Helix in the mail and you want something to set up for Sunday morning to get you going. This is going to kind of show you how to go about that, what it has, what I use. Of course, I don't go through all the amps and show you everything. Maybe for another video I can do that. But I'll show you kind of what I use, and whether you like it, whether you don't, you can kind of see what it takes to just set it up. It takes about, if you just open your box, pulled it out, I'd say it'd probably take you about 30 minutes to set one up. But the more and more you get used to it, without me explaining everything and you knowing kind of how it works, you could set up a rig in probably 5 to 10 minutes. That's how awesome this is. And I'll also go ahead and explain some things that you can do. And don't think of this as a pedal board. Think of this as a multi-effects processor. There's so much you can do with gates, with high and low pass filters that you couldn't do, that would really help you out, that would help your mix engineer out, and just really be all together. So this is a worship setting. Sorry I'm not pulling out the big wah pedals and all that kind of stuff. So this will be kind of how to get you going on a Sunday morning at your church. I hope you like it. Let me know what you think, and here we go. Alright, so this might be kind of a more lengthy video, but that's just basically what I wanted to do, is just show you kind of the raw setup of, hey, you just got a Helix, whether it's the LT or the regular Helix, and you're wanting to set up, a rig that you can use on a Sunday. So this will be around a worship style, but, for anybody that's wanting to know how to use a Helix, period, it's the same method, just different, effects, amp models, stuff like that. So what I'm going to do first is just kind of go in the traditional pattern of what would you need first if you are putting a guitar, an electric guitar, through effects, all that kind of stuff. You wouldn't necessarily buy a pedal, is kind of what I'm saying. You'd probably buy an amp, right? So let's find an amp. I'm going to leave some space for it, and I'm going to pick an amp that I would like, and I'm going to tweak it and kind of show you what I did. So we're going to pick this amp here. Let's scoot over. Alright, so what I did there is I just picked an amp that is based off of a matchless style amp. I always like that. I use the ribbon mic. What I went through is I changed, just the tone settings. I'm playing a kind of a 60s style Strat. It can get a little muddy, so I want to brighten it up, make sure it can, cut through, speak through. It doesn't get too muddy. So that's what I did there. I didn't really mess with the gain. I kind of like the gain. If anything, I would maybe take it down a little, but for right now, I'm just going to leave it there, just for the sake of saving time and stuff like that. So next, what I did is I moved through, and this last page that you see right here, you have the mic settings. So the first, all the way to the left, you see it's a 160 ribbon mic, and you can do the distance, all that kind of stuff. When doing a quick setup, we won't get into all the parameters, but some quick things is, whether you want a ribbon mic or a condenser mic, or the SM57, whatever options it gives you, go ahead and do a small low cut. Some people will low cut way up into the frequency, which kind of takes all your low in. And I know that some people are like, that's why I don't like these types of effects, because it takes so much low end, doesn't even feel real. Yeah, I want there to feel like there's some speakers moving kind of stuff, low end pushing. So I don't cut out all the low end, but technically in a mixed setting, when somebody's trying to mix your guitar, you're going to do them a lot of favors, and you're going to do the overall band a lot of favors when you just go ahead and cut out a little bit of that low end, because that's one of the beauties of this unit right here, is you can go ahead and do that. You don't have to put all that on the mixing engineer, and it's not really needed. You're not needed in that frequency range, so you might as well just cut yourself out of it anyways, because if you do have any type of decent mixing engineer, they're going to do that for you. So we got the matchless 212. I keep the cabinet the same normally. You can change the cabinet, but I'm going to leave it the same. So that's your amp. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy my pedals, or I'm going to build my pedal board. So what do you put first on a pedal board? Now with the Helix, you can do it how you'd normally do it, but I'm going to show you how I would do it, which is kind of a little bit different when it comes to like your delays and your reverbs, because you have the capability of doing this, which is awesome if you ask me. So when I think of effects, I use that type of effect and I say, so what do I want to do first? Do I want to compress my signal and have the compressed signal overdrived, or do I want to overdrive my signal and have the overdrive signal compressed? Okay, it's all up to you how you want to do it. I am going to do the compressed signal overdrive. So first, what I want in my chain is a compressor. So I'm going to pick that real quick. Alright, so you see what I did with my compressor. I picked the red squeeze, which we know that's kind of off of the MXR compressor, and I left the level the same. It boosted a little bit, but here's where I'm going to kind of see how it changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lock that in. I like the sensitivity in the mix. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm just going to mess with the level right now. Alright, so there my compressor shall sit. Whether you want to assign it to a button or not, that's up to you. Normally I wouldn't assign mine to a compressor, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off and on and make sure my level's the same. A good thing when you're playing this type of music is, you want a boost, you want an overdrive boost, but you don't want your volume level to boost way, anything past, your 2 dB boost for like a solo, or maybe 3 dB, because it really puts a strain on your sound engineer, all that kind of stuff, and it really, you want to stick out, yes, when you need to stick out, but not too far. So that's why I try to keep everything pretty level, and as I stack drives and do other things is when I stick out. I try to stick out more with EQ type stuff than, necessarily volume. So what I'll do if I'm playing a solo, I'll just switch down to my, bridge pickup, which is going to put a lot more of that high-end cut, and it's going to cut through. I'm not necessarily boosting my signal. Yes, just switching it to that pickup is going to be a little more hotter, but I'm not necessarily sacrificing when it comes to, kicking on a giant boost where you're just sticking out and it sounds, way too much, and it can sound very unprofessional. So I'm going to turn this off and on, long story short, and make sure my level is the same, because I want to compress it, but I don't necessarily want to boost it as well. Alright, so I'm satisfied with that. I'm not going to assign it to a channel, but you'll figure out how to do it, because I'm going to assign other things, just so you can understand that. But so that's the first step. I got my amp, I got my compressor. What's next? I'm going to go ahead and put my drives in. So my first drive, I'm just going to go ahead and put them all in, and then you can see me kind of adjust the parameters and all that kind of stuff, and then I'll talk about assigning each switch to each effect. But I'm going to do an 808 style drive, your TS9 or TS808, and then I'm going to do the Klon that they have on here. It sounds so good. Very, very good. Like, it's one of the things that just blew my mind with this whole pedal board is the way the effects sound and how they respond to the guitar. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so now I've got this set up, and I'm going to show you how to do this. So it's pretty simple. These switches are awesome. You can just touch them and assign to what you want to assign to. They literally respond to your finger when you touch it. So I'm just going to touch this. That's going to pop up. I'm going to press OK. So now I switched those up. I need to switch them out. So it just did my Minotaur, but so I'll go over here and select my my Scream 808, or whatever you want to call it. Touch this, assign that, go over here, touch this, assign that, and there you go. So now I have both those assigned and on. I'm going to go ahead and check my levels real quick so we can move on. Alright, I'm pretty satisfied with that, so we'll move on, and this is where things can get weird. Alright, so normally in your chain, I'm not going to focus on any of the other effects, but we know that, you could put, a chorus here, or whatever you want to do, but I'm not going to worry about that because those aren't the main things that we need. What we do need is a delay, and we need a reverb. Alright, so here's how I'm going to set up a nice patty sound to where you can, be rocking and not have to worry too much about everything that's going on. But here's where it gets different. I'm not necessarily going to put this in front of the amplifier. I'm going to put it after the amplifier. Because when you really think about it, you can't do you could do it if you wanted to, but you couldn't do it easily in a real world setting where you wanted to delay your amplified overdriven tone. You just delay your overdriven tone, and that goes into the amplifier. Well, with the Helix, you have that capability because, it's software. It's not necessarily hardware that you're having to plug in and all that kind of stuff, and it sounds great. So first I'm going to do a delay. I'm going to do the tape delay they have on here. It sounds really good. But I'm going to set up something I do a little different. And on my pedal boards, I've always had an always-on delay and an always-on small reverb. So I'm going to set those up. I'm going to assign them some switches just in case I really want to turn them off. But then I'm going to set up more of a main delay, where you do your dotted eighth stuff and all that with a bigger reverb that you can add on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Follow along. I'm going to be changing switches and parameters. You can go back on the video and see kind of what I changed, and I'm going to try to explain kind of what I'm doing, just in case you don't know how the delay and reverb works and how it responds and all that kind of stuff. So here we go. Alright, so pretty much what I did there is set up my two delays. As you see, I used kind of just it's that vintage digital, and then I used the tape delay as my main delay. I used the same reverbs, just one bigger and one smaller. So the ones that are on will kind of be an always on. I just made switches for them just in case I want to turn them off. I did forget one thing though, and that is the volume pedal, so I'll go ahead and add that in real quick. Alright, so now the volume pedal is in there. That's pretty much it. That's all you have to do to set it up. Now, one thing that I did is, you see I ran out of space, so I went over to the far right. I went over to the far right there where it says output, and basically what I'm doing is I'm just sending it to the bottom row. So my output there is path 2. Path 2 goes to an output. And that's pretty much it. The only thing I would recommend doing now is, so right now, if you can hear that, I have my hands off of my guitar, and it's got a buzz. So what you can do with this is you can add a gate right at the front for your guitar so that buzz doesn't come through in the mix. I mean, if you're fine with just holding it, that's fine. You know, that's the hiss that you'll get. It's very subtle. But I'm going to go ahead and add a gate so that buzz, it doesn't come through on my guitar. Alright, so there we go. We got it going through. That's pretty much the setup. So, with that, you can play pretty much. Here's an example. Lion and the Lamb. Everybody likes to play that one. And there you go, trails and all. That was another thing I did on the delay is I went and turned the trails on. What that does is when you switch off, it keeps delaying. It doesn't immediately stop. And you have your volume pedal so you can swell in. Alright, and that's pretty much it. So I hope this video helped. Let me know with a like, comment below. If you have any questions or anything you would like me to do with this Helix, let me know and I will be sure to figure it out for you or show you how. But I hope you like this. This is an intro video just to get you started on Sunday. Let's say you just got your Helix in the mail. You see, now you'd be ready to go. You can go ahead and press the save button in the top left corner. Name it whatever you would like, and it's set. It's saved. It's good to go. You can back it up on your Helix USB drive. You can do these same things on the computer, but this is so user-friendly that you really don't even need the computer. The computer is just as user-friendly as the interface is on the board. And once you spend, 5-10 minutes with it, you pretty much have it figured out. But the thing to give you kind of a head start on a Helix is don't think of it as, some pedals, an amp, all that kind of stuff. Think of it as you're taking control of how you sound in your mix. You're taking control of all the parameters that you normally can't set, like the EQs. You can do a master EQ on this board. You can do EQs all throughout the pedals. You can set gates so that when I let go of my guitar, it doesn't buzz. I can set high pass and low pass filters on reverbs and delays, and there's so much you can do with this and sound so well. Yes, I will say it does not feel 100%, but does it sound pretty dang close? Yes, it does, and that to me was worth it. That's why I sold all my gear to get a Helix, and it hasn't disappointed. I haven't had somebody come up and say, Hunter, you sound so much worse since you got that Helix. It's all, well, you made the jump. I still have the stubborn people that refuse to jump with me, but they do still respect the way that I sound having this Helix, that normal people would say, I'm not too crazy about that. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. This is Hunter with Audience of One Worship.